to this year's History of Science course. Please let me introduce myself very shortly. My name is Danny Dekkers. I'll be guiding you through a lot of amazing stories, one of my favorite magazines from the 1920s and 1930s. Yeah, that's what history, according to me, is about. I started my career as a mathematics teacher. I was trained as a mathematician, started my career as a mathematics teacher in secondary school, taught for approximately 12 years, then changed career to history and have been teaching history of science since. But history of science in this course, in this particular course, will be history of mathematics and history of business analytics. And it will be stories that I'll be telling you every week. New stories. And I hope you will be reading the text that's on campus that is kind of introducing the stories. I will not be giving you the same text as is in the syllabus. I'm going to give a different story. It won't deviate too much, but it will be another story. It will have a slightly different focus. But as the syllabus, it will be on the history of mathematics and business analytics. History of a subject that's both dear to me and that I like to use as an example of how prejudices can play both a positive and a negative role in life. Now, what will be the goals for the next couple of lectures? First, I will be providing you with syllabus and lectures a concise overview of developments in the world and status of mathematics and mathematicians, say the last 2,500 years. Which is rather ambitious, so I'll only succeed partially naturally, but that's not bad. And you can do that in very, very many ways, and it has been done in many, many different ways. Both, very mathematical, or very prosaic. And both types of history work, right? You can look back into history and see, hey, how did they do this or this subject? How did they do topology in the early 20th century? How did they do business analytics in the middle of the 20th century? You can do that. But I'm looking slightly the other way around. I'm looking, what did people in history think that they were doing? What were they thinking that mathematics or business analytics was about? That's a slightly different point of view, and during the course you'll see how that works, how that helps you reflect on what we're talking about. One of my favorite books on the history of mathematics, it's a rather old one, but it's still my favorite, is Struik's Concise History of Mathematics. Yeah, I'll hand books around so that you can have a look. Or not have a look, but that's to your like. One of the more popular versions, I like popular versions as well, movies or whatever. One of the more popular versions is by Robin Wilson, one of the more recent, Stamping Through Mathematics. Mathematics, history of mathematics by means of stamps, or based on stamps. It's the kind of British humor that I hold dear as well, also as dear as mathematics. But that's one law, concise overview of what was mathematics about and what was the role of the mathematician in Western society. That involves learning who called themselves mathematicians and what they considered both purpose and use of mathematics. So, why would you want to study mathematics? And having studied mathematics, what do you do with it? Yeah, you can do business analytics, but you can do several other things as well. And why is that particular? Why does it work? So, purpose and use. And last but not least, I hope in the next couple of weeks you'll learn how, or you'll understand the role, learn to understand the role of mathematics in its historical or her historical context. I hope to increase your understanding of the role of present-day mathematics, or present-day business analytics for that matter. So I hope to learn about the prejudices that are behind our subject field. And prejudices are something to hold dear as well. It's not a bad thing to have prejudices, but it is good to be aware of them. That's the main point. Cherish your prejudices. Okay, now, how do we do that? How do we do that? I'll be lecturing 7 times about specific themes in more or less chronological order. I'll make some excursions, as I will today, but so you will, during the lecture, you will hear some small parts that you'll read about in the syllabus only a couple of chapters later, but in general, yeah, during the lectures I'll stick to more or less the same chronological order as in the syllabus. Syllabus by May, available on campus. It's not yet complete, as you might have seen. It is being written as we, well, not as we speak, but as soon as I stop speaking, I'll be writing again. Yeah, it will be finished before the end of the course, and then there's a complete overview from 500 BC to 2000 AD. Every week there will be an assignment. Sign up for one of the groups. You can self-enroll in groups of maximum 5, and please do the assignments. They are not obligatory. I don't like any obligations. We are in an academic surrounding, never mind that. There are obligations now and then, but well, you're all grown up, so you decide whether to make it, but I do advise you to seriously do the assignment. They are helping you to prepare for the exam. They are, well, some of the questions in the assignments will turn up in the exam. You'll be graded for these assignments. The grading is not the main part of that. You will be giving feedback on these assignments as well, and that's the main part. So by giving you feedback, by providing feedback, we hope to improve your work. I'll get back on what I expect from you in these, or perhaps I do immediately. Yeah, well, kind of. First, the exam. What to expect from the exam? Well, at the end of the course, I will get back to this topic and show you some examples and help you prepare a little. But for now, it suffices to just see that there are 2 parts of the exam, part A and part B, both consisting of a number of questions. You don't make all the questions, you just do those questions. Yeah, you pick a number from each category, the questions that you know best, and you write little stories about these, similar as in the assignments. Part A will be simple, plain knowledge. Did you read the syllabus? Did you pay some attention during the lectures? That kind of questions. You'll see them in the assignment. And part B will require reflection. So asking you to use the knowledge from part A and to reflect on the subject of the question. I'll give an example of that. Let's see. Oh, here's some more, yeah. The assignments, back to the assignments. So you hand them in groups of 5. Answers typically are little stories, half a page, not much more. Well, if you write it out, it's usually 1 page, but typed is usually half a page approximately. Handed in before the deadline in Canvas. That's Vincent and I will, the TA, that's present here as well. The mind of the course. We will be grading as quickly as possible, and we will provide feedback as quickly as possible, but ultimately before Wednesday, or before Friday, the next course. That'll take some time. Definitely, of course, all the questions are new, so we have to wrestle a bit to get the right kind of feedback for all of you. You help us to provide your work before the deadline. If you hand in after the deadline, we won't serve you off immediately, but if we get into trouble with our deadline, you will have to wait. Yeah, simple as that. 6 assignments handed in with an average score of 6 or more, that allows you to skip one of the questions in the exam and still learn the content. And believe me, that's a great thing. That's a great thing. The question you are allowed to skip is definitely the worst question in the exam. You don't want to make that one. So, yeah, that's kind of what the assignments are about. Yeah, please.
A technical question. Does it invalidate an answer a wrong answer you give, or do you actually have to leave the answer blank?
Do you
actually have to not make a question for it to be able to be skipped? Or can it also just invalidate the wrong answer?
I'm not sure if I get it. Do you have to?
With the points that you get for all the 6 assignments,
Yeah.
he's saying that if you can skip questions.
You can skip one of the questions on the exam.
Yeah.
So on the exam, you can usually you make on the exam you usually make 9 questions to earn 9 points. That's the idea. And if you have handed in 6 assignments and earned 6 or more in average, then you only have to make 8 questions on the exam.
Yeah. And the question is, can you make all 9 and then if you have one wrong, it still counts?
Oh, like that. No, it's even better than that. There are 20 questions, so you have some pick in which questions to do, and you either pick 9 or you pick 8. So there are more questions than you really have to answer in the exam, which allows you for some freedom of choice. There'll be a lot of information. I don't expect you to learn everything by heart, to know everything by heart. That shouldn't be the point, but you should know a lot about it. That's the idea. Yeah.
So please literally skip the rest of the question, you don't fill in.
Yeah, quite. Now, that was. Please, let's continue. On the B questions, so the reflection questions. I'll be discussing these reflection questions every lecture. Getting back to and I'll try to wrap my lecture course into the form of a reflection question as well. So every course will be reflecting on a specific subject. Later on, the subject will be Euclid's Elements, or classical Greek geometry. That will be the subject of the reflection of today. But in general, what do I mean by reflection? There's a short document on Canvas that gives you some info about that. I hope that's clear, but I want to illuminate it here somewhat further, just to make sure that we get what is the idea. So the idea in reflection is that you try to get to grips with your own prejudices. How do you do that? How do you go about it? Well, this is a structure that works. It's not to say that you have to follow, but it is what I'm looking for in an answer. And this is a structure that works. You start with giving an opinion on a certain matter, explain the opinion, contrast it with another opinion on the same subject, actually, clearly indicating what's the difference between these two opinions. I'll give an example which makes it less abstract in a moment. Let's say level 0 of reflection. On level 1, that's the level that I want you to reach at least as a minimum, you are able to indicate what the differences in norms and values between these two opinions are. And yeah, that can be tricky, so now and then. Usually there's an obvious way out. History is one way of making that easy. In history, norms and values about mathematics, the purpose and use of mathematics, the value of mathematics have changed. So it's always easy to see, okay, there has been a time that people who we don't consider completely idiots, thought differently about the subject that we are thinking about now. Well, Newton was not a complete idiot, and still he had completely different thoughts about mathematics than we do. We'll be talking about that, we'll be reading about that. So, he had a different opinion, and we can contrast these opinions and see what is the difference in value between these opinions. In level 2 it becomes tricky. I don't require a level 2 argument in every question. I do so now and then I specifically ask for it. I want to see the societal changes that affect this change of value and norms. Simple example, during the 19th century, democracy pops up in Western Europe. Democratic forces gather and throw out a lot of kings. That changes a lot in the values and norms around what good education is supposed to be, for example. Before democratization, good education was the kind of education that got you a job at the court or at the bureaucracy of the court. And after the democratization, good education is more or less in line with middle class values. The kind of education that gets you a proper job, which is somewhat similar but different. A good job could be an engineering job, could be something completely different than the good job before democratization took over. That kind of social forces, that kind of social changes lie underneath changes in the use of mathematics, because you may imagine more engineering jobs means more mathematics, right? That simple it can be, and that hard it can be as well. So, on level 2 of reflection, I expect you to give some ideas what is the societal change that took place that effectuated these changing norms and values over time. Mind you, within our time and age, you can have a look at different values and norms as well. It's not necessary to go into history to find them. History is just a tool to expose them, or at least to many of you it will be just a tool to expose them and see what they are about. But we can have an example here, I have an example here, that is more present day, or almost present day. LaTeX. Yeah? Some of you will be using LaTeX, and some of you won't. LaTeX is a typical type of text editor that is in use within this group of people that uses a lot of formulae. So the mathematicians, some of the theoretical computer scientists and some of the theoretical physicists, they use LaTeX. And the rest of the world, most of them never even heard of the system. Yeah, it's completely, must exist. Yeah, so it's kind of word for the mathematician. Yeah. Well, LaTeX. Reflecting on LaTeX, you could ask yourself a question, or you could juxtapose the two opinions about that text editor. So LaTeX is a great text editor. Why use Word? LaTeX is much more beautiful, etc., etc. It's easy to use, and you can do anything with LaTeX. Why use Word? Word is horrible. And you can easily juxtapose it with much more common opinion, and be aware that it is the much more common opinion of, well, what is LaTeX? Yeah? What the heck is LaTeX? Yeah? Why use something such deviating and horrible if you can use Word? Which is two opposing views on one text editor. So you have a level 0. Then you can make that into a story on a level 0, type of reflection. It can be that easy. That's why I took this example, of course. Yeah, it can be that easy. The more interesting reflections, of course, go deeper than this. But it can be just, is it great or what? Yeah, that can be a juxtaposition. Now, on level 1, you're required to reflect on what are the different norms and values there. And here, you should at least have some idea of what's behind this opposition. Yeah, the relativeness of easy to use should occur to any one of us. Yeah, yeah, it is easy to use. Of course, LaTeX is easy to use if you're accustomed to it, and or if you've been trained into it, then it's easy to use. But force of habit is kind of using the thing that comes first to you. Why change if you've been trained with Word or with whatever text editor you have been using since childhood? Why change a winning team? That's what you've grown accustomed to. It works. Force of habit is a very important value that clings to all of us. If I'm going to be honest, I use LaTeX simply out of force of habit. It's the first text editor it's the text editor that I grew up with. Yeah. So yeah, that's why I use it. And I occasionally do use Word, but I always get stuck in the different symbols on top, and yeah. But it works. Both of them work. Force of habit is a very important, can be a very important way, a very important value that brings you to one subject. And there's nothing wrong with force of habit. There's nothing right with it either, but there's nothing wrong with it as well. Force of habit can be a reason to use it. Relativeness of ease of use should be a part of the story. How many people actually use formulae in the text? Well, LaTeX is great in typesetting formulae. Yeah, it is. But how many people do actually use formulae in the text? Well, using formulae is one of the ways to decimate your public, to decimate your audience. So most people don't. That's the fact. So, yeah, there are various values here at play that you can mention, and you mention at least one, preferably more, that helps you understand the juxtaposition of these two opinions. That's the idea. And then on level 2, you can refer to the example of those who grew up in the 70s and 80s and were raised with LaTeX, and the ones growing up now who have been raised with Word or with one of the other text editors and have been forced to learn LaTeX at a later age, and perhaps due to cultural habits are even forced to like it and even actually grow to like it. That happens. Culture can be a very strong motivator. That's what I would mention on a level 2 type of reflection. The changing tide of text editors, the history of text editors. Something like that. There will be more examples down the way. I think I have one. No, I have not. I don't have one more now, but so back to what we came for. What was mathematics? That's going to be the main topic of this course. How was it appreciated? What was it published? What was its use? In the syllabus, that's all been tied up to the idea of mathematical practices. I will not be tying it into mathematical practices here. I'll be tying it into specific themes, but you'll recognize the practices if you've read the parts, the chapters that I indicated should be read for the lecture. And reflecting then every week hopefully forces you to see the prejudices that hide and cherish them the more if you realize that you have them. There's nothing wrong with prejudices, at least over that. Let's see, what was mathematics about? Mathematics, and this is just an example, what was mathematics about? It's not always been the subject that we are taught at school or that we are taught at university today. Back in the 13th century, this is just an example for, what did it look like? Back in the 13th century, mathematics was about constructing tables, constructing sine and cosine tables, doing astronomy. That of course, sine and cosine tables do help to actually do astronomy. And why did you do astronomy? Well, you wanted to use astronomy, you wanted to use the movement of the stars to predict the future, naturally. That was what mathematics was about in the 13th century. Here you see a picture of a statue, a rather new statue of King Alfonso X. El Sabio, it says on the pedestal. El Sabio meaning the wise. And this is one of the prejudices that I immediately want you to confront. I immediately want to confront you with. This is one of these prejudices that's so obviously there that you don't see it. If you see someone like that, Alfonso the Wise, you immediately have this positive connotation. A wise man. And then you go into his history and you see, oh, he has helped constructing these tables. He was a great mathematician, at least for his day and age he was, yeah. And he's called wise. That must be something, that must mean something positive. That must mean something positive. Well, and here comes our prejudice. It didn't. It was a mocking name. It was used to mock him at the time. El Sabio was called El Sabio because he failed so miserably in his politics and his diplomacy at the papal court. Yeah, what he needed, El Sabio, in the 13th century, fighting the Moors at the Iberian Peninsula, yeah, being king of Castile and Leon. Yeah, what he needed was a good and efficient war machine that would kick some butt, and a good and efficient diplomacy at the papal court to crown him to Roman Emperor. Yeah, both to crown him to the Roman Empire. That needed some diplomacy at the papal court, and he failed in both. He failed both in Rome, where he couldn't get a foothold within the papal court, and he failed at home, where, well, he didn't really lose much territory to the Moors, but he didn't win anything either. Yeah, he constructed his tables, and that's why people in his time, you can see a picture of him here, more in his own day and age. People in his time dubbed him the Wise, El Sabio, because simply because they wanted to mock him for paying attention to constructing tables instead of paying attention what he should have been paying attention to, his bloody court. That was, and he didn't. Then, this is one of the ways that people use and still use today, say something nice, meaning a horrible insult. Yeah? And some people are great at this. And his mock name even became, because of the prejudices that are connected to it, ages later, this mock name became his title, his added title. El Sabio was called El Sabio in silence during his own time, and he was only really called El Sabio, so it was hewn into his pedestal in the 19th century, when people started to reinvestigate what was being done in history on mathematical subjects, and they came across this king and saw that he was named El Sabio, thought that must have been a positive thing, and thereby went on. So this is one of these simple prejudices that can fool you. The wise meaning something nice, it doesn't. Not everything is what meets the eye. Yeah? So please beware of that. Another one, it's a shorter one, I promise. Christian Huygens. Can someone disagree being called a mathematician? So that's what I put on top. Can you disagree? Being called a mathematician, if you were called a mathematician, and supposedly that you are actually doing something with mathematics, that doesn't sound negative now, does it? Not to us, anyway. But that's to us. Huygens was from a wealthy family. Constantine and his father, Constantine was his brother and his father was named Constantine as well. Yeah, they were, and Christian himself, they were all courtiers at the Dutch court, and as such active in Dutch diplomacy, mostly in France, mostly in Paris. When Father Huygens, on an occasion, sat on one of these great banquets in the halls of Versailles, trying to impress the right diplomats, one of these courtiers came up to him and tells him, Mr. Huygens, I'm told that your son is quite a geometer, isn't he? Which doesn't sound too bad. But this again was the compliment, or no, it was an insult disguised in a compliment. A geometer at the time was someone who had to work for a living, someone who had to, who was surveying or who was gouging, someone who was actually, paid to do work. And Huygens, of course, well, they were not of noble blood, which was made it extra bad, but he didn't have to work. They were filthy rich, so they didn't have to work. And that was an important distinction, having to work or not having to work. That made quite the distinction at the 17th century court. If you had to work, then you were low life. If you didn't, then you could at least pretend that you were part of the minute or part of the court. And as a diplomat, that was an important distinction. So Father Huygens responded quite annoyed to this diplomat. He said something like, I was not aware that I had any artisans among my offspring. Something like that. He was deeply annoyed by the suggestion that his son could be a geometer, or was called a geometer. So here again, we are confronted with our prejudice that being called a mathematician is not adorable. It's not as if you're being called stupid or being called whatever. But it can be an insult, just as being called the wise can be an insult. Okay. And here's immediately the difficult thing. We do know what mathematics is about, or do we? If you start thinking about it, it is quite hard to define what mathematics is about. It's not easy to explain to someone who's outside of mathematics anyway. Take your mother, and if she happens to be a mathematician or a business analyst, take my mother, she definitely is a hell of a job to try to explain what is mathematics or what is not. It's a hard distinction to make. Certainly if you don't want to disagree with the rest of the mathematical world. Here's a picture from one of the popular Dutch picture books. And the professor, typical lab coat professor, always white male, always preferably, goes around thinking informally. That is what mathematics is about for most of the world. If you look at the formulae, they don't make much sense. There's something that resembles Fourier transforms in the left, and then something like vulgar calculus on the right. That don't really make sense. But some simple, incomprehensible formulae. That's what mathematics is about to most of the people. That's not what mathematics is about to us, naturally. It's either the tool that we use to improve business, or it is the thing that we hold here because you can prove stuff. It's or something else then. Whatever you make of it. What is mathematics about? Historically, that's easier to answer than to ourselves today. The easy reality is, of course, that to say that mathematics is that what a mathematician does. But you immediately get into trouble with the picture there. That's one of my colleagues, Rainer Kanders, at his second job. He is a mathematician. He is a brilliant mathematician in group theory, but he happens to own a farm as well, or at least his father owns a farm, and he loves to work on it. And this picture, I think he calls it Rainer Kanders, he's German, Rainer Kanders am Wurzeln ziehen. So pulling roots, extracting roots. That's so defining mathematics as that what the mathematician does doesn't quite work. We understand, of course, what we mean with it, but we should then continue and say what the mathematician does when he's doing mathematics, and you immediately end up in circles. So it's not that easy to define what it is. But we do have a conception, we do have an idea, we do have our prejudices, right? We know what it is. And that's what you need your prejudices, or you can't do anything. You have to assume that you know what mathematics is. You must. It's either use your prejudice, work from there, or end up in total oblivion and do nothing. Yeah? Which is not the right thing to do, I think. Yeah? So, okay. Here's an overview of the course. Today, we have an introduction, which is by now almost over. And the second part of the lecture will be on antiquity. And the second lecture will be, and I'll be debunking Euclid here, or debunking the views on Euclid today. That's what I will mostly be doing. The second lecture will be on scientific revolution, debunking that concept, and you'll be reading the chapters concerning that in next week. The third one on enlightenment, the fourth one on nation states, the fifth one on professionalization, so we slowly move up to the end of the 20th century, ending with digital culture. That's where I wanted to take you. And in the syllabus you'll read more about various topics that belong to that time frames. To those time frames, we'll be reading more up to speed there. During the lecture, if there is anything that's not clear in the syllabus, please let me know. I can expose in some more detail, but I'll tell a story that's related to these themes that are sub-themes in the story of the syllabus. Okay, and then today, so the introduction and antiquity. Here again a picture of what the general conception of doing mathematics is about to many people. Yeah? Comic books and popular movies are generally a good way to see what the general public thinks that mathematics is about. And the fact that as a mathematician or as a business analyst, you sometimes think, oh, how could I? That fact, that is exactly the point of this course. The mixture of several visions, several views on what mathematics is about. That's the main point of reflection. You can have different views on the subject. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's nice to see what's behind these different views. Okay. Now, 5 minutes. A short introduction into the Greek, into antiquity. And I start here, as in the syllabus, I start with Greek antiquity, which, as you may have seen in Struijk's book, he starts years and years earlier with the Babylonians and Egyptians, which predate Greek mathematics by 1,000 years or 500 years. Yeah, why write a history of mathematics for only 2,500 years when you could have covered 3,500? That could be one of your questions. Yeah. Well, first of all, I didn't want to annoy you with Greek, with Egyptian and Babylonian mathematics, but there is a point to that. There is a point to that. In the Greek and Babylonian traditions, you can spot calculations, and you can spot even some geometry, and well, recently it has even been suggested you can spot some calculus down there. I don't really buy that, but there is a point to be made there. You can, if you want to, you can read some calculus into some of the Babylonian scribbles, which sometimes predate these Greek events by 1,000 years easily. So that's great to see that, to recognize these kind of things. Yeah, it happens, yeah. But who were doing mathematics there? Who were performing these calculations? Well, those were priests. Those were priests calling themselves priests, part of the temple order, part of the temple administration. They were certainly not calling themselves mathematicians. In the syllabus, I mentioned that through the first chapter. Yeah, this whole first chapter until 1200, I really could have left out because there's no practice of mathematics in that whole stretch of years. So 500 to 1200, over half the time that I try to cover, there's no practice of mathematics. Yeah, that's only one chapter, of course, and the rest actually does hold practice of mathematics. Why treat a subject when there's no practice of mathematics? Well, I think it's still valuable to see what predates the practice. Why the practice doesn't emerge from scratch. Things happen. Things did happen in old Egypt and old Babylonia. Yeah, they were doing something that resembles mathematics, but they themselves did not see the knowledge that they were using as something really different from the other duties that they had to perform. The rituals, the temple administration, opening the temple doors, saying the prayers, writing. It was all part of knowledge. And it remains so rather long. You can hear that in the word, the Greek word mathema, which ultimately became mathesis, ultimately became mathematics. And that is simply meaning that which is worth to remember. That's what it signifies. But at the moment that it's called mathema, and at the moment that the separate word does emerge, at least the idea that there is something that separates that part of the knowledge from the rest of temple wisdom, there's an idea that these things are something separate. There is something special about that part of knowledge. Perhaps you shouldn't see it as a practice yet, but it is something, there is something special with that part of knowledge that makes it different. Well, and that special word did not exist in old Egypt, did not exist in old Babylonian times. So there's no reason to look for mathematics there, because the people themselves were not aware of them doing mathematics, bluntly put. Another part, or on the other hand, you could also say, yeah, mathematics in our present day category, yeah, at least people doing mathematics, yeah, that's a modern category that certainly did not exist in that time. There was no training or whatever. You couldn't learn mathematics. With the ancient Greek, you can say, okay, there are some teachers who teach you mathematics, who teach you the specific rules that belong to mathematics. That's no longer the ancient category of the temple wisdom there. Yeah, but the modern word of mathematics certainly does not apply there. Mind you, to Dirk Struik, pre-Greek mathematics was part of history of mathematics just as well, and there are good arguments that you can give to include it. It is nice to see how these people did their calculations and what they did, but as a mathematical practice, I left them out entirely simply because, yeah, being part of temple wisdom does not make you a mathematician, does not make your subject mathematics. So that's the reason why I left it out. We're going to have a coffee break and continue at our past. Yeah.